Well, hey, Maggie June.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. You look fantastic
Thank
there in
you.
Los Angeles. I'm missing you, but boy, it's been an exciting week.
Yeah, oh my goodness, I've been gone like 3 days and I already have so much I can catch you up on.
Well, I'm hoping on it. I'm counting on it. So that's what we're gonna do this show, right? We're gonna talk about the big drive and what you're doing in Los Angeles now, and kind of what I've been doing, and we might get into some motivational moments and generations ideas, and it's gonna be a big full show. So, what do you say we roll that theme music?
Let's roll it.
Mags and Dads, wholesome chaos. Mags and Dads, wholesome chaos.
I love that theme song. It never gets old.
Thank you. Thank you. So I've been gone. There's a bunch of stuff I need to catch you up on, but before we get into any of that, I want you to explain how your time alone has been going, and then I'm going to give my version of it as well. So go ahead
Your
with
version of
that.
my time alone?
Yes, cuz
Well,
it's
that ought to be interesting. Okay. So no, it's been good. I feel like I just get a lot done. I'm always in motion. I've been working out a lot. I've been doing some TikToks. I've really, I've done like three or four different. No, I think I've done five TikToks. I have three in my drafts now that I haven't posted yet, and I've never had that. So I've just been creating content. I think possibly because me doing TikToks makes me feel close to you because it's kind of our thing. And so when I'm missing you, I think, what would Maggie do? And that helps me stay close to you. Been spending a lot of time with the dogs. I took Simon disc golfing with me with my friends, and I shot my best round ever on a disc golf
nice.
course. We also went up to the lake and saw Grandma and Grandpa and went on a boat ride with the dogs. And so yeah, there's been a lot going on here. Did laundry, all that good stuff. But I miss you. Oh, I also pressure washed the deck. So I've been
Nice.
kind of in frenzy crazy mode.
Yeah, so that's kind of my version of it a little bit, I guess, is I think it's so funny. Even after mom and I left, started driving, I forgot something, and so I had to come home. And when we called you on the way home, it had literally been maybe 2 minutes, and you were already on the phone with your mom making plans to hang out. And it just kind of seems like you don't like to be alone. And like when you are alone, you do so much stuff, like you like occupy, which is good. It's good to be productive, but I think it's interesting, and I miss you, and it's crazy. I mean, I'm gonna see you in what, like 3 weeks, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, I do. I really do like to be alone, and I get a lot of solitude when I'm traveling because there's all the time alone in a hotel room, or even when you're on planes and things like that.
But
You're
you're
in your
still
own
surrounded by
space.
people.
You're surrounded by people, but you're in your own head and in your own space, and so I feel like that's like I'm good with alone time. I'm good with solitude. That's a really important skill in life, by the way. Is just being okay with yourself. I think people who aren't okay in their own skin and with their own thoughts, it makes it really difficult because you're constantly trying to distract yourself from your own thinking rather than being just grounded. That's the person you spend the most time with in your whole life is you. So you better enjoy that company, right?
Yeah, for
But
sure.
but I wake up in the morning and I have a lot of energy. As you know, I'm a morning person. So I just get going, I get rolling. And then after that, I just keep going. Like, keep going, find that next moment, the next project. I'm very organized. I do like little plans, but then I also deviate from those plans. So I have a lot of energy. And then by the end of the night, at some point, I just run out of gas and pass out, go to
And
sleep.
by the end of the night, it's like 7 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah, true. Well,
That's one
no,
of the
that's not true.
reasons.
7 o'clock in Los Angeles, maybe like 10 o'clock here.
Well, that's
But
another reason why this time zone, I think it's pushing both of us a little bit, because even when we're both on the East Coast, kind of figuring out a time where we can do the podcast, you like to do things crazy early. I'm not a morning person, I'm more of a night person. And so now I'm even 3 hours earlier or later. Wait. Yes, I'm
yeah,
3 hours later than you.
you're three
And
hours
so
earlier than me.
yes. So
Yes.
my morning is not your morning anymore. And so it makes it even more difficult. And so it's pushing you to be someone who can, I guess, conserve their energy more. And I guess like be more functional towards the end of the day. And it's pushing me to wake up earlier as well. So It's a learning experience.
We can both grow from it. You know, another thing that I've been doing is I've been listening to this book on tape that's really been helping. It's about breathing. It's about the quality of your breath and how you breathe into your body to calm yourself, to relax, to release anxiety, to manage your functions, and how it has such an incredible health benefit, the way you breathe. And it's perfectly timed for a new sponsor to this show, which I'm so excited for. Our sponsor is Calm, and I absolutely love Calm. It's a wonderful tool. And so everyone here, for this ad break, what I'd like you to do is to take a break with us, to just for a second here, unclench your jaw, just relax your mind, relax your shoulders, and take a big deep breath. You see, sometimes we all just need a reminder to take a little time for ourselves, and that's what Calm can do. Calm can really, really help. So we're partnering with Calm, the #1 mental wellness app, to give you the tools to improve the way that you feel. Clear your head with daily guided meditations, improve your focus with Calm's curated music tracks, and drift off to dreamland with Calm's imaginative sleep stories.
And if you go to calm.com/chaos, you'll get a limited time offer of 40% off of the Calm Premium subscription, which includes hundreds of hours of programming, and new content is added every week. Over 100 million people around the world use Calm to take care of their minds. Sleep more, stress less, live better with Calm.
We want you to calm the chaos in your life. So for listeners of this show, Wholesome Chaos, Calm is offering a special limited time promotion of 40% off a Calm Premium subscription at calm.com/chaos.
Go to calm.com/chaos for 40% off unlimited access to Calm's entire library. That's calm.com/chaos.
That's an amazing discount, 40% off. And if you didn't catch that when we read it, it's also in the show notes, and it's also on our website at wholesomechaos.com. So you can go out there anytime to see all of our sponsors for this show, as well as some great resources and tools. And you can ask questions and topics that you'd like to hear us talk about, some of which are coming a little bit later in this episode. But for now, Maggie, I want to hear all about your drive. You drove from Georgia, from Atlanta, Georgia, to Los Angeles, California. How was that?
Oh my gosh, crazy. Mom quizzed me on it a while ago of which states we went through, and it was Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Arizona, Oklahoma, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and California. So that was kind of the route we took. And it was so pretty. Oh my goodness. There was very little time where you would look out the window and not just be in awe of how beautiful everything was. And that was something really cool because we were essentially going from one major city to another. So you don't often get to see this crazy country land and mountains, and just, it was incredible. But we had a lot of time in the car. We didn't fight. I mean, I guess like Mom and I don't really fight in general that much, but it was a really overall like relaxing car ride. We listened to a lot of music. We listened to so many podcasts. Oh my goodness. We're like historians at this point because we listen to history. The History Channel has a podcast that is like History This Week. And so it'll give you different like 30-minute episodes that explain a period of history from like that week, however long ago. And we listened to so many of those that we really got pretty educated. And we also...
Way to use your time.
I know,
Did you
right?
do anything when you went from one state to another and you did that, like you crossed the border? Is there anything you did to celebrate? Did you get out and take a picture, or did you just keep driving, or anything like that?
We got out at the border to Texas. And there's clips of that in my YouTube video, which is going to launch. Actually, it will already be up. It's already up. But for the most part, we didn't stop a ton. We were kind of two girls on a mission. I tried to get pictures of every time we passed a state sign, and some of them are quite comical because it was so funny. We didn't know when the welcome to wherever was going to pop up.
Sure.
And so
they sneak up on you.
They're literally like live photos, and you can hear Mom and I freaking out like, oh my gosh, grab your camera, quick. And so many of them, it's like a corner of the sign that I got. It's really sad, but it's quite funny. But
It's
we
like
did.
that TikTok, where people have to dive into the frame, but it's constantly moving around the screen. Have you seen that?
Yes, it's
A little
literally
bit like
quite
that.
similar to that. We did stop in this one place in Arizona that was a really cool town that looked like the town from Cars.
Was it on
Not
Route
Flagstaff.
66?
It was right on Route 66, and there were
Well,
a
they
lot of
probably
old cars there.
based the movie off of that town or
Or
sections
based
of
the
that town
town off
anyway.
of the movie.
No,
You never
not
know.
that way. No, I do know. That's not it. Well, listen, I really wish I could be with you on that drive, and maybe I can be when at some point you drive back and do it again. But I know that was so meaningful and important to your mom. Like I can just imagine how that felt to her and being a part of this big adventure. I'm really glad you girls had that time together. And no, you don't fight, but I mean, I think in our family in general, whenever there's conflict, whenever we butt heads, we just fix it right away. Like we don't stew in that animosity. We just can't stand it really. And so we just get over it, get through it as quickly as we can.
Well, she was so sweet too because she literally is one of the best people you can travel with, and I had a
I
few
know, by the
different I had a few different migraines on this trip, like pounding head, nauseous, sick to my stomach, like really bad migraines. And literally, what better person to have with you than your mom, who's gonna take care of you? She went and bought me an ice pack. We got Advil and all that kind of stuff, and so it was a real comfort, especially in a time of my life where so much is changing. To have her there was really sweet, and I'm looking at her right now, and it's funny because she can't hear the conversation we're having because we're in headsets. But yeah, she's great, and it was awesome. Yeah, I
That's
will
great.
say the other type of podcast we listened to that had an impact on our drive was we listened to murder podcasts. Which I usually listen to them, but it was kind of a new thing for her. And the first day we were driving, we listened to one that was about these motel murders. And then that night, we were in a motel, and both of us, we talked about it the next day. Both of us were so scared because all that was running through our head was all these different murders. And so that maybe wasn't the best route to go, but it provided us some amusement later that we were both kind of thinking the same thing.
Yeah, made it a little bit more memorable. Well, just
Yeah.
I'm glad you made it, and you're liking your surroundings now, and I guess you're just kind of getting settled in.
Yeah, it's so cool. Oh my gosh, I have my own kitchen, which is like such a big kid thing. I can cook in it. I'm gonna learn how to cook maybe. And I also, oh my goodness, I didn't tell you this. I have a walk-in closet.
What?
And you know how big of a deal that is to me because on my life
It's
goals
on your
list,
life list.
Yep.
Yes.
And I don't know if technically this counts. I feel like maybe this counts because it's not really my place. It's my place temporarily, but I might count it that
I don't think
can
you can
check
count
that
it.
off. Oh, just kidding.
Yeah, no, I think you have to have your own place with your own closet. That'll be a pretty easy goal though to check off in the grand scheme of things. I think you're gonna be just fine in that department.
It's so
Wow.
cool.
Well, I can't wait to get out there. I think maybe September-ish, maybe I can have a trip out there and we can do some content in Los Angeles and maybe get together with some other friends and do something like that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. It's a date. We'll look at some dates and figure that out. And in the meantime,
Yeah.
you'll be home in a few weeks.
Yeah.
And how are we going to work together for those few weeks, or what are you going to be doing?
We'll figure it out. That was one thing that was funny. We just posted a Push in the Pool series where like we kind of talked about how I was leaving for a bit, and people commented and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna miss this series." It's not going anywhere. Like me being here doesn't change the fact that you're my dad and that we talk literally like every day. And so of course we're still gonna make content together, and that's part of life. Is situations change. But you gotta roll with it, and it's gonna create something special and unique to the situations we're in at the moment. And I think it'll be something cool to look back on.
100%.
And I do have a little bit of home with me here because I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've taken quite a few of your shirts that are currently here with me in LA.
Yeah, I'm used to it. when you were packing, I said, "How many shirts of mine are you bringing in?" You said, "Oh, just a couple." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay," but
Yeah.
I don't even notice that anymore.
That's
Except
good.
when I see you wearing my shirts in your TikToks, it actually makes me feel a little bit closer to you. So have
Aw.
at it.
I appreciate that. Have you noticed the other thing I took from the house to California yet?
Um, what are you referring to? Give me a clue.
It's really tasty.
Oh, yes. I have noticed that there's less cereal in our pantry right now. Is that what you mean?
Yes, there is significantly less cereal because I took some of our next sponsor, Magic Spoon cereal, with me to LA. And we have it here right now. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I took the new cookies and cream cereal so I would have a good way to start my mornings. And I mean, how could I not? How could I not have taken some?
Well, at least I got to try it before you left. Magic Spoon cereal has 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. Only 140 calories per serving as well. It's keto friendly, gluten free, grain free, soy free, and low carb. You can build your own box or get a variety pack with available flavors: cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, and cinnamon. Wow.
Magic Spoon is bringing back 2 super popular flavors, cookies and cream and maple waffle, permanently. When these flavors were first introduced for a limited time, they sold out extremely quickly. So make sure you go and grab those before they sell out, or try them for the first time because they are absolutely delicious.
Go to magicspoon.com/wholesome to grab your delicious cereal and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code wholesome at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked.
Remember to get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/wholesome and use the code wholesome to save $5 off. Big thank you to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this episode. And I will say, another thing I love about Magic Spoon is you can switch up the flavors. Like if you just want a variety, you can switch up which ones you're eating and still know that you're getting a great nutritional value, which is super cool and super fun. And we're really grateful for them sponsoring this.
Yep. So you should be grateful too. If you enjoy this podcast, go out, give them a try, and use that code, and that helps them understand that you support this show as well, and you appreciate their sponsorship. So Maggie, do you want to do some listener questions?
Absolutely. Let's go for it.
Fantastic. So again, if you go to wholesomechaos.com, there's a lot there. You can learn more about us. You can see some more videos. You can get some resources for communication within your family dynamic. You can join our family, which means you sign up, and we're going to be sending out some notifications and kind of building a community around some of the ideas that we're talking about. And you can ask questions or request certain topics for us to talk about. And so here's the first one, and it comes from Shirsi, who says, do you guys have a favorite family movie or show to watch together? So Shirsi, I'll let Maggie start answering that question for us. Favorite movie, favorite show, Maggie?
I feel like we have a lot we watch together. Of course,
Yeah.
we do Harry Potter practically once a year, kind of November time. We'll start watching all of them. We're all big Harry Potter fans. And this year, since I was home from college a lot, we watched a lot of the Marvel series, like WandaVision and Loki, Winter Soldier, all that stuff. Since we were home together, we would watch it together each weekend when I would come home from school, which was low-key kind of difficult because with my friends, when it would come out, they'd be like, oh, let's watch the new episode. And I had to be that kid who was like, I can't. I'm going to go home and watch it with my parents.
Did you mean to make that pun, by the way? Low-key, kind of difficult?
I did not.
That was really
actually,
good.
I'm going to say I did. I'm going to take credit for it. Absolutely.
Take credit for it. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think we've gone through different phases with what movies we watch, but that special hour of gathering around and watching something creative and fun and talking about it has been a big part of our lives as a family for a long, long time. Anything Pixar, the original Toy Story movies and Monsters Inc. and all of the Pixar, all of those movies are just so amazing that you can watch them over and over again, and kids and parents love them. The Princess Bride is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I know maybe you don't feel the same way about it as I do, but it's just so good, just so
I like it.
quotable. Yeah, I mean it's amazing.
Mowage.
The Mowage, the classic, big adventure tale and romance, and it's just so good. It's wholesome chaos, is what it is. So, but you like a different princess movie, I think.
I am in love with The Princess Diaries 100%. Literally, so you know how there's going to be a third one? Or at least Anne Hathaway said that there was a script for the third one like a long time ago before COVID. And so it was kind of
Are
under
they
the
making
impression.
it, or she just suggested that?
I will tell you, I've done a good bit of research about this, and I do not know because different sources say different things. But literally, Morgan swiped up on something the other day when I like reposted something about it, and she told me I low-key look like Anne Hathaway, and I wanted to cry. So, if anyone who is casting this movie is watching this and needs someone who one person thinks looks a little bit like Anne Hathaway, hit me up.
Hey, speaking of acting, I want to congratulate you on an award you just won.
Thank you.
Actually, Mom won for the film because the short film that she did called Reset, which Mom wrote and produced, and our family was involved in. I was a boom operator, but you were had one of the major parts, and Eddie did the soundtrack, and so it was another fun family project. And now it's kind of making the rounds at the different film festivals, and it's won its first award at a Toronto film festival. And it is for the Best Emerging Actress, which was you. So
yeah, that was
way
so
to go.
exciting. Thank you. It was a huge confidence boost. It was really interesting because a while ago when I decided I wanted to get back into acting classes and stuff like that, one of my main goals that I made was I wanted to regain the confidence I feel like I've lost over the years when it comes to acting. And I feel like over these past few months, I definitely have. And not saying that you need other people's validation, because you don't, but having a little award like that was a big help to my confidence. And that was so, so cool.
Absolutely.
But back to the question.
You got to plant that flag where you find it and be like, yes, we got a good achievement, and we're going to move on from that and kind of build from that place.
Absolutely.
So yeah, what's the next question?
Oh, well, do you want to answer this question as well? Oh, wait, you did. You said The Princess Bride.
Well, yeah, and with regard to that, we didn't watch a lot of shows, like regular series. I guess we did. I know Mom was really particular about making sure you only watch shows that had good acting.
Yeah.
Because she did want to support your acting.
Yeah, that was funny. As a kid. I can ask.
So what's the next question? Yeah, go for it.
So our next question comes from Becca, and it's for you. She said, as a motivational speaker, what areas of your own life do you struggle with being motivated, and how do you conquer it?
Thank you, Becca. That is a great question because, of course, I mean, we all deal with struggles and motivation and high moments and low moments. And the way I deal with the struggles, and for me, that would come down to, am I doing the right things to take care of myself physically, my health, and also to create content and keep advancing my career? Running a speaking business isn't just about showing up and doing speeches. It's about everything, about keeping client relationships. It's about creating new ideas and producing videos on a regular basis, which I've been doing for a long time for both my weekly content for my audiences, but also now with the TikTok stuff and whatnot. So you just have to always find that source of motivation. And for me, the struggle, it's all about reframing the struggle. And when you feel like, oh, this is getting hard, you've got to be able to respond to that in a way where you build a trick into your mind to say, yes, this is hard, so I'm going to do something about it. And for me, that something about it is to take action and make it a little bit harder, or make it a little bit more intentional, or push myself into a new direction, or just change things up completely. I also build some support systems in my life with people I talk to regularly. So I know that they're going to ask me how I'm doing. And if I'm not accountable to them, then I've got to explain why. So I've tried to align myself with some people who operate at a level that's as high or higher than me. And so I feel like I have to, stay motivated to stay in that company. So for me, that's a tool that just kind of works. And then also certain commitments. Like I mentioned, my weekly videos that I post at a certain time every single week. So I just know I have to follow through. Like I know, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know I have to meet that deadline. And I've done it so long now that I can expect it's just going to keep happening. So you're never going to avoid the struggle. You just have to make it a, what I call purposeful struggle, an intentional struggle. When things get hard, you say, okay, what am I bringing to it? What am I going to do? What's my response? Not my reaction to the struggle, but my response to what I'm doing about it. So anything you want to add to that, Maggie?
Yeah, I think that's great. I will say the one thing our mutual friend Betsy actually told me the other week was don't always wait for motivation necessarily to do things, because I've before kind of procrastinated a bit, kind of with the idea of, oh, I'll wait for motivation to strike and then I'll go and do these things. And you can't always do that because, you know, it's the real world. You got deadlines, like my dad was saying, where deadlines can often really help you stay motivated because you got to get it done. But don't necessarily put yourself in a box where you're like, oh, I'll wait till I'm motivated, because that's procrastination.
And most of success is really unglamorous. It's discipline. It's doing things when nobody's looking that are relatively boring, but they're helping you and they're preparing you for the moments that are more exciting. And you know, when you get to that big moment, and people are like, "Oh wow, you were so lucky." You've heard the famous saying, "Opportunity is or luck is opportunity met with preparation," right? And so it looks like, wow, what a lucky break. No, what happened was you'd been doing the right thing all along, staying disciplined, working on something important, finding your response to the struggle, and then eventually some door opened up or an opportunity, and you were there, and you arrived, and you were ready for it. But you can't fake your way through that moment. Yeah, you just have to do the work.
Yep.
So thank you for those questions. And again, go out to the website, wholesomechaos.com, to ask us some more questions like our good friends did today. So Maggie, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about generations. And this is something we started last time as well, talking about some questions about our generations. But I was trying to think about some things that were different when I was younger and then when you were younger. And one of them is punishments. When we did things that were wrong, when we got in trouble, like what happened? What happened in our schools? What happened with our parents? And how did we get the consequences of our actions? So I'll start first with a couple things that come to mind. And I remember, start with school. I was always the troublemaker in school. I was very hyperactive. Fortunately, I found juggling and physical activity as a way for me to channel my energy, which I'm sure was ADD or ADHD. And I never got diagnosed or medicated, but I learned to use that racing mind and abundant energy to channel into my gymnastics and juggling and all of that. But before that, I was like getting in a lot of trouble, talking in class, sending notes, breaking pencils to go sharpen pencils, like up and moving. And it got to be so distracting that my teacher actually moved my desk right next to her desk facing the audience. That was the first thing, and that didn't work because the class, because now I had
just to put in perspective how we think about things.
And then she moved my desk into the hallway. So for a couple of weeks, I wasn't even in the class. I was in the hallway by myself, where everybody. I don't think you could do that in this day and age.
Yeah, I feel like you and I got in trouble for very different things.
What about you? What did you get in trouble for at school?
Okay, this is so funny to me now because I've literally changed as a person so much throughout the years. Like middle school to high school, I'd say I changed a lot. But in middle school, I don't want to say I had like a respect issue. I just had a very strong mindset. I've always been pretty opinionated. And in middle school, I decided to adopt the mindset that I'll respect you when you earn my respect. And I applied that to teachers. And teachers didn't always earn my respect. And so I'd say when I got in trouble, it would be more for like not respecting teachers, I guess. And not like I didn't do anything crazy. I guess I had the occasional eye roll or stuff like that. I literally remember at my school, in middle school at least, literally, I feel like all my problems were in middle school, discipline-wise, like in school. But I remember finding a little slip, because that's how you got like a yellow slip or a red slip. And then if you had a certain amount, it was like you had to have isolated lunch or something like that. And one of them, like when they wrote down what it was for, it literally said it was like, didn't refuse to show respect or something like that. And honestly, when I replay that whole situation in my mind, I think it was a little over exaggerated. But yeah, I'd say that was more my issues that I quickly overcame in high school.
Yeah,
I learned
because what you have to learn is, even if you don't necessarily respect the person or some things about the person, you do respect the person. We all love we respect humanity and treat people with dignity. That's
and
like
the role
given.
people are in as well. You kind of
Right,
have
but
to.
It's their role as a teacher, as an authority over my life in this instance, in this situation. That in and of itself, regardless of the person, deserves some measure of respect.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I was honestly just an angry, angsty middle schooler. But in high school, man, I was best friends with all my teachers. Once you like really get to know people as people, I feel like it's so much easier to have a connection. But yeah, discipline-wise though, in schools, I would say they probably couldn't put us in the hall during a class. Although, no, I do recall teachers sending kids outside. I was never sent outside, but I do recall stuff like that. But discipline at home, do you want to talk about how your parents disciplined you as a child?
Yeah, first of all, I was in trouble a lot at home, which I don't really understand because I think I was a really good kid. I mean, I worked hard. I always did chores. My mom always had lists of things for me to do. But apparently I would just like, whatever, get in trouble. And no big deal. Like I said, I spent a lot of time alone. That started young. I spent a lot of time alone creating games and playing with things and doing stuff like that. But I also had good friend groups. But my friends would constantly come over. We didn't have phones, obviously. We didn't call each other even. Sometimes we did. Sometimes we would call each other to say, hey, are you available for this? Can Dan come over and play? But mostly they would come to my house and just bang on the door, knock on the door just like that. And so my parents discovered, actually my mom kind of came up with the system of a red flag, and she would tie a red flag on my doorknob that would alert the whole neighborhood that I was in trouble. So like, don't
That's
even
so
bother
funny.
coming over. Don't even bother coming over to play, to ask Dan if he can play, because he can't. Like he's in trouble right now.
That is so funny. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't funny as a kid. Like, I'm sure it was pretty frustrating. But
honestly, I just kind of
tough.
took it in stride. I thought it was normal. I think that's the thing. No matter how we're punished or no matter how we grow up, that's our only sense of reality. And so we just think it's normal. And honestly, it was pretty clever because it wasn't anything cruel, but it was a disincentive. It was very effective. Like people knew they didn't bother my mom. They didn't bother me. It was just like very effective. But there was also like this shame element of like the Scarlet Letter, like Dan's in trouble again. And the whole neighborhood would know it. And so I don't know, man. I think that might have worked to my advantage. There was another time I got in trouble and I lost TV for a whole year.
A year?
A whole year. Well,
Oh my gosh. What did you do?
I pointed a BB gun at my sister. Now,
That'll do it. Yep.
it wasn't loaded, right? But she didn't know that. And
Yeah.
it kind of doesn't matter. That was the whole point. It's like, this is a very serious offense. And understand, my TV was my only screen. That was no other place you can go. Oh, you lose TV, you whip out your phone or your iPad or go to Netflix or nothing. So a whole year. Now, I could watch it. Go ahead.
I was going to say, could you watch it like friends' houses?
Well, I mean, they couldn't enforce that. And so I guess so. Yeah, I did some of that. And then also, like, if I happened to, we only had one TV. So if anybody else wanted to watch TV and I happened to be in the room doing something, like working out or exercising or juggling or practicing, like I could kind of take in some TV that way. So that's kind of how I got around it, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Did you get
crazy.
in trouble with us? I don't remember.
You don't
A lot?
remember? You don't remember my childhood?
I mean, I don't think I punished you enough, honestly.
Well, I didn't get in trouble a ton. I was a pretty good kid.
So was Eddie.
Yeah, but what was interesting is you and mom punished us differently because we were different kids. And that's something I feel like is important about parenting. I can say this as a 19-year-old who is not a parent. But
Yeah.
just knowing your kid, I think it helps you understand how to. I don't think punishment's the right word. I like discipline better. But for me, I was a very social kid. And so it was, okay, you can't go like play with your friends. And I used to roller skate all the time. And so I remember one time, I think I was crying to mom or something. I was like, please, just let me put on my roller skates and like go do a few laps or something. Like, let me go talk to my neighbor. But that was kind of my discipline was I lost privileges to hang out with friends. And for Eddie, it was more of he took away his games because he loved video games and stuff like that. And so it was just different for each of us. I don't think I was ever grounded. Well, I
Yeah.
guess if I couldn't see people or leave, that's kind of grounding.
But not for a long period of time. Yeah,
Yeah.
when I say I think we were too soft on you, I think, parenting is a mix of trying to like provide the path and make things easy for your kids in certain ways to create as many opportunities for them to be successful as possible and to like minimize the difficulty. But I mean, a lot of that difficulty is really important. And so it's about being intentional in terms of what is the right discipline either you want to put them through or enforce because of a consequence or because of a behavior you want to correct and fix. And so it's just kind of a mix of providing the struggle for them as well as providing the path.
For sure. Yeah, and I'd say when I got older, it only happened a few times where you guys would take my phone for something. It's crazy. It's crazy now because kids have phones so much earlier. So I guess that can be a discipline at a younger age, but I didn't have a smartphone till
It also
I don't
changes
know,
the
high
power
school or
dynamic
so.
when kids have a smartphone, though, because they need the parents less. They don't need your permission as much because they can go direct to communication in ways that you're not even aware of. So you don't control the channels. It's very different parenting with the age of technology. And my generation was the first to try to figure that out. And there were ways to kind of put some constraints around that until a certain ages. But I know parents that are way stricter about the use of
Oh, yeah.
technology. And I think a lot of that concern and merit and those creating those boundaries is really more important. And because I traveled so much, I couldn't be directly involved in that all the time. I think in retrospect, that might have been something I would be even more attentive to, but it worked out in our case.
Yeah, well, part of it too was the argument of like, I paid for my own phone as a kid. So it was like, you can't take away something that I pay for. Or
You
the
paid
whole
for the
guard.
service. We bought the phone and you paid for the service. Wasn't that how it worked?
Depending on the phone. I know
Yeah.
my first few phones I bought myself. But again, my first phones were slide phones. They weren't smartphones.
Exactly.
And it was funny too because I remember another argument was like, if you take away my phone, like what if I'm out and I get kidnapped or something? And so mom had a little ting phone that all you could do was call people on it. And so she
That
would
was the
give
punishment
that out.
phone.
Yeah,
That's right.
it was like
You're
okay,
like,
if you
give me
get
your phone and
kidnapped, call us on this.
take the phone of shame. That was the red
Yeah.
flag. The ting phone was the red flag
Yep. Crazy.
in a way. So what other topics do you have for us, Maggie?
Oh my gosh. Okay, the last thing that I wanted to talk about, and this, I kind of brought this up because we had the question earlier that was about like, oh, what do we watch together? And really, since I went to college was when I started watching TV with other people. Like my roommate and I would watch stuff, and when I came home, we would watch stuff together. And it made me realize how annoying I can be to watch stuff with because I've gotten a lot better at it. But the way I watch TV and movies when I'm by myself is if a scene is stressing me out or if I'm bored or something, I'll skip the scene. Where I can watch like a 2-hour movie in an hour and a half, because if I'm nervous because of a scene, because it's like stressing me out or something, I'll just skip it. And then I will say a lot of the times there's then plot holes that I'm very confused about.
Yeah, I was going to say, doesn't that get really confusing?
Sometimes. And that's why it's interesting. Like, I think I did that with Outer Banks the first season, because a lot of it's like high action. And sometimes I just get nervous for the characters. And so I'd be like, okay, I'm going to skip this scene. And then I'd be talking to friends about it later. And they'd say like, oh my gosh, can you believe when this person did this? And I was like, that didn't happen. What are you talking about? And I forget that I don't always watch the full thing. And so I don't.
Or you watch things like YouTube videos on like fast speeds too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, I adopted that practice.
I can't do that.
Well, because with school, you have so many videos they need you to watch or listen to or all that. And so I did this in high school too. I feel like all my friends did. Where if we were reading a book, I took AP Lit, so we had a lot of reading to do. And a lot of the times when I was driving home from school, I'd listen to the chapters that I had to read that night, because I'd have to go back in and annotate, but if you can listen to it to get through it, I usually understand it better that way. And so I would listen to it on 1.5 speed, and I remember sometimes we would try and listen to it at 2 times speed. But after 1.5, it gets tricky to understand, especially depending on the reader. Oh, man. But yeah, I just kind of, I guess I have a short attention span, is the long story short of this. But if anyone else watches TV and movies like that, please let me know so I know I'm not like,
Well, I know that
crazy.
your grandmother, your Nona June, she was an avid reader, but she would read the first page of the book and then the last page of the book.
Yeah.
Just to know if the book was going to pay off for her in a way, and then she'd go back. Then she'd decide if she was going to invest herself in reading the book. I may have mentioned that on the podcast before. It sounds familiar, or maybe I just told it to you once before as well.
It's possible.
Well, I guess we're at the end of another episode here. Time just goes by so quickly, but it's really so great spending time with you, Maggie, and seeing you as well.
I'm sure we'll call again in a few hours.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
But hey, everybody, thanks so much for listening. And until next week, I love you, Mags.
I love you, Dad.
And we love you, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Mags and Dads, wholesome chaos. Mags and Dads, wholesome chaos.
Ooh, can you hear it when I crack my back? Oh, now it's not cracking. Never mind.